G'day guys, today I'm live here with Adam Murphy from Adam Murphy Coaching. He has an incredible story going from overweight baker to now coach of the Adelaide 36ers, a well-known NBL team here in Australia. So super excited to have him on the show and hear a bit about his story. Adam, my man, how are you?
How you going?
Good, and yourself?
Very well, very well.
All right, mate. For guys who don't really know much about about you, can you tell us a little bit of your background and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, so, I mean, as you said, I was an overweight baker back in the day. My dad owned a bakery in Semaphore here in Adelaide, and I was working for him just to earn a bit of money on the side, or actually earn a bit of money full stop, because I was only 12 years old. I was working there probably once or twice a week, just as I said, to get a bit of money while I was at school. The only thing was I was probably more of a quality control manager than an actual baker, because I used to try and eat all the products, which turned out to make me quite overweight. So to give you an idea, when I finished year 12 at school, I was sitting at 135 kilos, which isn't exactly healthy for a 16-year-old.
No.
But once I finished, I decided, okay, now it's time to start focusing on some other areas, and I got myself a personal trainer, and basically over the space of about 12 months, I was eating better, training hard. I was playing basketball 2-3 times a week for a couple of different teams and training a fair bit. Took up the gym a little bit, and in the space of about 12 months, I lost 40 kilos. Which was, to me, a huge thing, because I was overweight for most of my life. I was always afraid to talk to girls because of it, so now I had a bit more confidence there. Not a lot of confidence, but a little bit more anyway. But the reason I got into PT is because of that is I sort of thought, well, I could do it myself. I could lose weight and gain some confidence and be happier myself on my own. I might as well go do it and help other people do the same thing. So I became my own PT, started my own business, which did relatively well, but never really found that true passion in just personal training. I did a lot of study over the years to try and find other areas that I might enjoy, like neuro-linguistic programming and some life coaching sort of stuff, a lot of nutrition study, but still never really do what I love most. I was sitting down with my parents and my now fiance one night over dinner, and they said, what do you love more than anything else? So I said, other than my fiance next to me, it was without a doubt the game of basketball. Ever since the age of around 8 or 10, I've been playing basketball. I've been watching it, breathing it, living it, doing anything I can for the game. I love it that much. And they said, well, why don't you get back into basketball? And I said, well, I can't. My knees are stuffed. I did my ACL back in 2005, and that sort of ruined any possibility I had of making it as a semi-decent basketball. Don't worry about playing then, buddy, with coaching. And I thought, well, okay, I might as well give that a go. So I rang up my old basketball team, the Warriors, and I said, do you have any coaching spots available? Which they did. So I took up the head coaching role of the Under-3 Division 2 team. Mm-hmm. Had minor success, nothing too crazy, but just got a bit of a feel for it all. But I obviously didn't do too badly, because they promoted me to Division 1 Under-23s the next season. And there, again, a little bit more success. Nothing too much, but they must have still been impressed with me, because they promoted me to this Premier League season after. The Premier League, to give you an idea, is the level below the NBL in relation to South Australia. So it's an SA league only. So yeah, I did that for an assistant coach for 2 seasons, as well as a bit of strength conditioning for the teams as well. But that's really where I decided that this is where I want to go with my life and my career. I wasn't getting paid a single cent for this role, by the way. It was completely volunteer work. But I just loved to get out there. I was doing about 15 to 20 hours a week, unpaid work, but just loving being there. And that to me was a clear indication that this is something I should do and try and earn some money from it. So I found out about the 36ers a little bit more, what they do for strength conditioning. Luckily enough, I met one of the players, Mitch Creek, who did a bit of playing for Woodville in the Premier League for one season, and just become friends with him and got to know a little bit about him, about the team and how they work. And I decided, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be really proactive here, and I'm going to train Mitch for invite him down to my studio and say, Mitch, as much as you want to come down, I'll be here ready to train you. And he took advantage of that. Probably 4 times a week, most weeks, and we're doing one-on-one sessions. And I do a bit of posting on social media and just talk to him about it. And one day he come to me and said, Murph, which is what all basketball-minded people call me, is Murph. He said, Murph, there's an opening for the 36ers strength conditioning coach, and I've put your name forward to get it. And first of all, I had to pick my jaw up off the floor because that's what I was actually looking for at the time. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I'm there, I'm ready. Let me talk to the head coach, let's go. And about within a week, I was in front of the coach having a quick interview. He seemed to like what he saw and what he heard. And about 2 weeks after that, he rang me and said, the job's yours, let's get started. So that's pretty much that's my backstory. I know it's a little bit long-winded, but that's pretty much everything that was involved to get me to where I am now. And I'm now in my second season in the NBA.
Wow, okay. So, as you said, a few things went through my mind, just more questions. So, you went through some massive mental shifts there, from going from that overweight person to literally losing what equates to half a human being, 40 odd kilos. What triggered you to make that change?
That's a good question, because this is one I've answered quite a lot. So the exact actual story was, I was at school. We used to sit in the lunch yard at school. It was at Blackfriars, which is an all-boys school. And across from the lunch yard, across the main road, was a fish and chip store. So we used to sneak out illegally, according to the school, go buy a big packet of chips, hot chips, and bring it back and sit in a big circle trying to cover the chips that no one could see and eat them. This one day we did that with some kind of chips, and all of a sudden they decided to start teasing me. It must have just been my day in the circle, in the cycle, to be picked on. And they were really going at it this day. It was tough, like kids can do. And I happened to start crying. Now, I don't know if any of your listeners have been in all-boys schools or same-sex schools, but as a boy crying in an all-boys school, it doesn't go down so well. So that sort of escalated the taunts a little bit further. The siren went for the next lesson. Everyone got up and left, and I just sort of sat there for a little bit, just sort of going over what just happened, feeling pretty crappy about myself. I finished off the day and went home, and normally when I go home, I have a chat with Mum and tell about the day and what's been going on, but I just couldn't do it this day. I went straight to my room, closed the door, and laid on my bed. And as I was laying there, I was sort of thinking about all that stuff that had happened, all the teasing that was going on. A lot of them saying things like, how can you be successful? How can you're never going to achieve anything? You're too overweight. Girls are never going to like you. All the typical kid sort of stuff. And as I was saying all of that in my head, I looked down at my stomach and I saw this mound of belly fat. And it was at that moment I had a vision in my head of two paths. And one path was to keep going down the same route on that, which was thinking poorly about myself, believing what the kids were saying at school, eating the crappy food, and having the poor choices in life. And then the other path was completely blank. There was just nothing down there whatsoever. But I think that's why I chose that one, because it was blank. It was a clean slate. And immediately, once I decided I'm going to change, without any hesitation or second thought, I just got up off my bed, laid on the floor, did, I think it was something like 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, and 10 leg raises. So 30 quick movements. It took me a whole, maybe 5 minutes. And I thought, okay, that's a start. I'm going to do that every morning. So I did that every morning for a few weeks, and I did it every night and morning for a few weeks after that, and that got me into it all. So I guess to answer your question, that was the tipping point where I felt so bad for myself. I had to make a decision, and I just made the decision and went with it straight away without overthinking it. Yeah.
Okay. And when did you enter the world of NLP and psychological kind of trainings? Because that seems to, I imagine that'd be a tool that you're using today with helping other people.
Yeah, probably, when was that? At a guess, it would have been about 2010. I started on the NLP course, and I did about 3 of them back to back, just to really immerse myself in it all. And as we know, immersion is the great way to learn something. I did want to become, I guess after I finished the courses, I wanted to become an NLP practitioner. But again, it didn't really sit right inside of me. I mean, I like the idea of it. I like the idea of earning a lot of money from it. But I didn't really get anywhere with it because it just wasn't a passion of mine. But yeah, you're right. I do use a lot of that with the boys today, and with my clients today, with everyone today. I don't do specific coaching on NLP, but I do use it to get my point across or to help people shift their mindset to achieve the things they want to achieve in a very, I guess, a very subtle way.
Okay. And on this journey towards becoming the coach of the 36ers, was that very intentional, the way that you'd gone about working with the players and everything, or was it sort of throw something out there and hope it works?
No, it was very calculated, actually. So when I first decided, okay, I'm going to get into basketball coaching, that was a pretty much just a throw in a rock in the pond and see what happens. But then when I found my passion for basketball again, and through the coaching medium, not playing medium, I thought, okay, how can I make this into something that I'm not doing for free, but something I'm actually getting paid for? And that's why, again, I'd use my fiance a lot. She's my rock, she's everything really to help me get to where I am, and there's no way I'd be here without her. I'd sit down with her a lot and just say, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to be. What can we use to get there? Who can we use to get there? What do I need to learn? What do I need to do? What are the steps? And that's how I discovered the way of working my way through the rankings of just South Australian basketball to get to the top of that, and then look into ways of getting to the whole National Basketball League. And that's where it's funny because people look at it and go, oh, you're a little bit lucky because you happen just to meet Mitch randomly. But I think I had to work extremely hard to be able to have the chance, the opportunity to meet Mitch, to get me into the NBL. I had to prove myself to him because athletes don't just trust anyone to be able to train them. They look for someone in particular, someone specifically who knows what they're doing. So I had to learn enough for him to trust me and prove to him that you come to me, I'll look after you and help you to get better. So yeah, it was very calculated. I had to be at the right place at the right time, and I had to make sure I was there. It didn't just happen. So yeah, very calculated movements.
So without getting too esoteric, that really sounds like the law of attraction in practice, really deciding what you want to do and then taking those steps to get it.
Which I think is probably the biggest thing people miss out on, is they think about the stuff they want a lot, and they wish for it and hope for it, and they use the vision boards and everything else, but they forget the actual most important part, which is actually doing everything, taking the steps and learning what you got to learn and meeting the people you got to meet, and absolutely getting out of your comfort zone. If you don't find yourself being uncomfortable, you're not really doing what you want to do.
Okay. The 36ers have a reputation for being a really good team. Could you tell me a little bit about how they've done recently and what coaching you've done to help them improve?
So last season was a fantastic season for us. Unfortunately, it was with a bit of a bitter end. The actual home and away season itself, we finished top of the ladder, and from my understanding, we set the record for the team to finish the top and secure top spot the quickest in NBL history, which is amazing. There were still 5 rounds left, and we'd already solidified the top spot. Going into the finals, we're not too sure what happened, whether it was a young team or nerves got to us or fatigue. We're not really too sure. There's a lot of factors that go on the end of season, but we happened to only win one of the 3 games for the best of 3 series in the first round of finals, and we were knocked out. But we took a lot from it. We learned a lot of lessons that we can bring into this season. I learned a lot of lessons on how I can make the boys better, how I can make them more prepared by the time finals come, and I've already implemented them. So we're week 3 into pre-season as we speak. So implementing them straight away, and I can see a difference in the group going forward to this season. But I guess the main thing I used from my strength conditioning perspective was I brought in a lot of functional training, which I'm not sure a lot of other strength coaches have done yet. I'm not going to say that for sure because I don't know what they've done. I'm not in. Boys were asking about, why are we doing these bigger movements? Why can't we do a bench press? Why are we doing, a walking lunge with a bicep curl into a shoulder press and whatever else? And so going through those different bigger movements, doing a lot of prehabilitation work, so a lot of work before training starts to get their bodies ready, get the proprioception active, and just a lot of different things that they've never done before. Just all based on making sure players stay on the court rather than sit off with injuries.
So a lot of that's preventative injury kind of stuff that you've been doing just to make sure that they're able to go the distance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, while I was just in July, I was in the state in America for the NBA, and I was meeting up with some of the head strength conditioning coaches in the NBA. And I was asking them questions on, what do you do with your players during a season? What are your focuses for the players? And there was one guy, his name is Todd Wright, and he's the head strength conditioning coach for the Philadelphia 76ers. And he says, my most important goal for every single player on the team or the squad is to keep them on the court. You can improve their vertical leap, and you can improve their speed, and you can improve a bunch of other different areas in their abilities, but at the end of the day, they need to be on the court to be able to do their thing, to be able to win the games. And I took a lot of other things away as well, but that was one thing I really found quite interesting and different perspective for a strength coach is, as long as the players are on the court, you're doing your job. If they're on the court and they're performing at their best of ability, you're really doing your job. So I've taken a lot of those different learnings from the best guys in the world to make sure the guys are on the court and they're performing their best.
How much of what you do with the players is psychological?
Everything. I make sure I break the boys down every single time I see them.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, these guys are professional athletes. They don't have jobs. Their job is basketball. So they live and breathe the game of basketball every single day, and they're amazing at it. They do absolutely deserve where they are, to be where they are. But when they come to see me for my sessions, whether they're in the gym, in a one-on-one or a group setting, whether they're on the court and they're doing even just a warm-up, I'm breaking these boys down to make sure that they achieve the best out of their bodies, even more than what they can achieve, I think, sometimes. And that's my job, is to make sure that they get beyond their comfort zones, to go straight through that comfort zone and realize that they can actually run faster than they thought or jump higher than they thought. I had players coming to me in the beginning of last season saying, I've never been able to dunk, or I really struggled to get up there and touch the ring. By the end of the season, they were up there dunking two hands, which is a tougher dunk to achieve. So yeah, it's my job to make sure that they can achieve more than they believe they can achieve.
How do you do that? What's the process for taking someone through those steps?
Don't let them think otherwise. It's probably the biggest thing I use. Is, as soon as I start to feel some negativity in the players or the group, as soon as someone starts to look like they're getting a bit flat, or they think they're getting a bit flat, I'll make sure I step in straight away, intervene, and try and I guess to use an NLP term is break their state. I hope they're not listening to this because they might cotton on to what I'm doing now. But I do try and change the way they're thinking immediately so they don't get stuck into that negative spiral. And again, that doesn't matter whether it's on the court or in the gym or I'm just having a quick meeting with them, which I tend to do a reasonable amount of time. Just always keeping them on the track of how can I get better and let's keep getting better.
It's awesome. And you mentioned you do some coaching outside of the 36ers in terms of helping people, individuals. Tell us a little bit more about what you do in that respect.
So I mean, I've still got some clients that I've started with in the personal training industry. So some of my clients have been with me for about 12 to 13 years now. It's great because they've been able to see me grow the whole time from a very basic 19-year-old who was scared to talk to them initially to now being where I am. And I still do a lot of the same stuff with PT with them, but they've seen me develop into this person who can now help them in other areas as well, and they use me for all that sort of thing. But the new clients that come to see me, my typical demographic is athletes or budding athletes who are looking to break into the professional sporting world. That's where I specialize, I guess you'd say, in professional athletes. But really, I mean, I'm still getting a great mum come along and she just wants to keep up with her kids a little bit more. I've got a couple of CEO clients who, they're working, I reckon, close to 100 hours a week, and they just need some movement on some days, and they come to me for that. It could be a bit of a glorious status as well, saying that they're with the strength conditioning coach of the 36ers, but I know without a doubt that these guys they value what I do. They enjoy what I do because they've been with me for years and years and years. I don't really get short-term clients.
Where do you go from here? What's the next step in your journey?
Great question. The next step for me is the NBA in America. That's my complete goal. That's where all my focus and attention is towards. I mean, obviously, yes, I'm I guess to change that a little bit, my very first goal is to win a championship here in Adelaide with the 36ers. And that's where my complete focus is right now. But at the same time, as a career focus, as an end product for my career, I'm looking to break into the National Basketball Association in America, the NBA, and work for a team over there as a strength conditioning coach. To do that, I need to do a bit more study and get a bit more experience. But as I said, I was in the States in July, meeting all the right people, getting all the right connections. So my foot is definitely in the door, and my name is heard of over there now. So again, I'm taking those very calculated, correct steps to get to where I want to be. I guess I'm just following the system that got me to where I am now, just doing the same thing, just on a bigger level, on a bigger stage to get to where I want to be next.
If you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, the 12th grader who's just finishing up school, what advice would you give him?
I've never actually had that question before. What would I give my younger self? I'd say just keep believing in what you're wanting to do. I know a lot of times even after I lost all the weight, a lot of times I had a lot of people saying to me, that sounds really hard. Why are you doing this? And this is even professionals saying, this is not the best path for you. You should be doing something different. You're not going to make any money from this. You're not going to really get anywhere with this. And it slowed me down, but it obviously never stopped me because of where I am. I'd say to that person back, that 16-year-old person, 12-year-old person, saying, just keep doing what you do. Keep believing in what you believe in. Keep aiming for what you're aiming for, and just keep working your ass off. Don't be afraid to work for free. Don't be afraid to do long hours. Don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. And as soon as someone says that you can't do it, use that as a motivation to just push that a little bit harder and pardon my French, shove it up their ass afterwards when you've achieved it.
Love it. What kind of tools have you learned along the way that you'd say have helped you the most?
Tools that have helped me the most.
Tools, books, trainings.
You've got some great questions on here. I learned a lot from my dad back when I was baking. A real funny one, which doesn't really directly relate to anything, but indirectly it makes a huge difference, is when I used to be a baker, I was always working on a single bench, and the bench was always messy. Like, there was flour everywhere, there was bits of scraps of the old food I was making still sitting there. It wasn't unclean, but it was just messy. And he would always come to me and say, Adam, what are you doing? You got to clean up the previous mess before you go ahead and make a new mess. So I started to do that and realized that work become a lot easier, and even to the point of being quicker. And I took that with me through everything I've done since. So before I would start on a task, I'd make sure the last task was completed and finished, and the area I'm working in is tidy and everything in its place. It's funny, when I first got into the 36ers, I walked into my office, and it was this dungeon of mess, dark and dingy and horrible, and I wouldn't have been surprised if I found some dead rats sitting in the corner of the office. So the very first thing I did with, again, my fiance, was we walked in, we gutted the whole place, we threw everything that I wasn't ever going to use and it wasn't necessary. I put in some new stuff that made it look a bit nicer, and I set up my office exactly how I knew I could work in it. So yeah, it's not really a direct relationship to success, but I definitely believe that indirectly having a clean working area is going to be huge for you. I guess the other thing is, again, it was what I said before, it's a bit of a broken record, and I'm sure you've heard this by so many people before, but I just truly believe it, is follow your passion. I've tried so many things in my short life so far. I'm only 32. I've tried so many different career options. I've been in business for the last, probably about 10 years. And my business has taken so many different paths and avenues because I thought they were going to make me money. So essentially I was chasing money more than I was chasing what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until the night that I chose to follow basketball that I actually started making, I actually found my passion and started making some money. It was a revelation, even though I knew it at the time. It was this mind blow that went, holy crap, that this is actually for real, that when you do what you love, you can make money from it, and it's no longer a job or a chore. For me, Monday morning is awesome because I get to go back to the stadium and see all the boys and train them again. A day off doesn't really exist for me anymore because I just love doing little bits and pieces to help out the team or to better myself. So yeah, finding that passion is just unbelievably important for success in life.
Love it. You mentioned earlier the relationship you had with your parents seems to be very, very strong, and that you were habitual with your mum of always sitting down and talking about your day. Where did that come from, and can you tell us a little bit more what that's taught you, and would you perhaps use some of those lessons with your own children if and when you do have them?
I guess probably I love my parents to bits. They're a huge part of my life. They've helped me so much, and to be honest, even my to-be parent-in-laws, my fiance's parents, they've helped me a hell of a lot too. Just, I guess, expanding my knowledge. But for my mum and dad in particular, I use them as a bouncing board, a backboard, if you want to put it in basketball terms, just to help me get to where I want to be. And again, it's a really big indirect thing where I would just sit down and talk to them and get ideas just by talking to them. And they've always been probably my most supportive people. in my life. They've always said, you do whatever you want to do. Don't listen to anyone else. If you want to do that, go do it. I remember my mum saying when I was younger, if you want to be a garbage man, no offense to garbage men whatsoever, please don't take that the wrong way. But if you want to be a garbage man, go be a garbage man. If you want to be the president of the world, go be the president of the world. It doesn't really matter. Just whatever you want to do, go do that sort of thing. So they gave me a lot of confidence in myself to achieve what I wanted to achieve. Where did that come from? It might be a bit of my culture. I mean, I've got an Italian background. My mum's Italian, and all of her family's Italian. So I think it's a very European thing to be close to your family. We always had family dinners. Dad worked a lot when I was younger, but as I grew up, he was there a real lot more, and we always got to hang out and do things together. And again, the family dinners at night time where you turn the TV off, you sit down with a meal in front of with your family, and you talk, and you may get into arguments. We got into countless unbelievable arguments, but I think they're all learning points as well, because that's what an argument is. It's a chance to change and grow and learn something from it. So I think I'm the master of growth based on the amount of arguments I've had with people around me. I think it could be the Italian culture. Even my extended family, my grandparents, and my aunties and uncles, my cousins, I see them on a regular basis. And even though, again, they don't directly help me in my career of getting to the NBA, their indirect help of being supportive and being just the people they are and showing me that they can achieve their success, and therefore I can achieve my success. It seems my family are very successful people, which has inspired me to keep pushing. I get maybe to impress them, but more just for myself as well.
So you guys second generation Australians, or?
Well, I guess, Mum was born here, but all of her family was born over there. So her parents and onwards before that. So does that make it?
I think it is. I'm fairly sure it is. It seems to. Yes, from what I've seen with many entrepreneurs and people who are driven, it does seem to have that foreign culture that comes in with them. That hard work ethic seems to get passed along. Seems to be the case with you as well. Would you say that's to be accurate, or again just very individualistic type experience?
Absolutely. I'd say very accurate. I mean, I said before that my dad was away, and not so much. He was in the same area. He still lived in the same house as us, but he was working a lot, should I say, when I was younger. And even though it was tough not to see him often, I guess maybe in the back of my mind it was an inspiration, because I know why he did it. I mean, he didn't do it for himself. He did it for his family, to put food on the table and a roof over our heads. And then I look back onto my mum's dad, my nonno. He did the same thing. He was away a lot working. He would travel long distances to work big hours for the same reason, of not for himself but for his family, and to put a roof over their heads and put food on the table. And I'd like to do the same sort of thing. And to answer your question a while back, I do plan to have kids at some point, after marriage, of course. But I do have the same work ethic, where I do this for me because it's my passion, but I absolutely do this for my future family as well. I want to create a nice little nest egg. I want to create this environment for them for growth, and bring them up the same way I was brought up, where they can achieve anything they want, they can do anything they want, and I'll be there to support them 100% of the time.
Here's my final question to you is this. What questions should the audience know about from you that we haven't yet asked?
Say that again, sorry, mate.
If there's any question that I should be asking you right now that we haven't yet asked that the audience would benefit from, what would that be?
I guess a real common question. This is very health related rather than anything else, but I believe that health is a huge part of anyone's success. I mean, for me to take on someone to help me, I must know that they're healthy, because if you can't look after yourself, really you can't look after anyone else or anything. So I have a lot of respect for those people who look after their own health. A lot of people ask me about nutrition and how to get healthy. the way of food. And I keep trying to tell them the same thing, that food isn't difficult. Nutrition is not rocket science. It's not hard work to follow the right rules. And there's really not many rules to do that. To eat properly, to eat according to your body, to eat healthy. If you think it's proper food, in other words, if it's a fruit or vegetable, eat it. If you think it's improper food or fake food like a Snickers bar or McDonald's, don't eat it. You know, we're all smart enough humans to figure out what good food is and what bad food is. Make sure you're eating good food and you're going to get a result from it. It's as simple as that, really. It doesn't get much more complicated. On top of that, you know, if you are holding some body fat and you're looking the way you would like to look, again, another pretty simple thing to look at is make sure you move more than you eat. You know, if you're doing one training session a week, it's not really going to work too well for you. So, make sure you're putting out more energy than you're actually taking in, and you're going to get a good body shape just from that on its own. There's no need to overcomplicate anything in the way of your health and your nutrition and movement.
Love that. Adam, I think that concludes the questions for this interview. The stage is yours. You've got a good 30 seconds odd to tell people a bit more about yourself, where they can connect with you, and how they can work with you, if that's something that you're offering right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, like every other entrepreneur or businessman these days, I do have social media, so Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. You know, look for me on Facebook. Do you send out an email or anything like that?
Yeah, I can send out an email as well.
Cool. I might send you my details for the Instagram and Facebook and whatnot to go to the business pages. But otherwise, if you want to have a quick chat with me via email, it's adam@adammurphy.com.au. If you want to jump on my website, which will be renewed soon, so the current one doesn't look amazing, there will be a new one up soon. It's www.adammurphy.com.au. Get in contact with me. I do work with people via Skype, so I have clients in other states in Australia. If you're in Adelaide, come down and see me in Kidman Park. I have my own studio there. Catch up, let's have a chat, and we'll take it from there.
Well, guys, that was an amazing interview with Adam Murphy from adammurphycoaching.com. Until the next episode, we hope you all have an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you in the next episode.